smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia.
My name is Luke Darnell, Pitmaster of Old Virginia Smoke Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about my new online class available at barbecuechamps.com. This is a 100% tell-all competition barbecue class from yours truly, available online. It is a masterclass with 34 high-definition tell-all online competition barbecue videos that can be watched anytime, and they do not expire. They are packed full of pro tips, techniques, and recipes that will show you how to take your barbecue to the next level. These 34 barbecue cooking videos total 7 hours and will show you everything that you need to take your competition cooking to a level that you never thought was possible. We've already heard from several teams that have bought our classes and have already seen success and gotten their first calls. So this is something that brings me a lot of joy in sharing my knowledge and seeing people be successful with it. So are you ready to take your competition and backyard cooking to the next level? What are you waiting for? Just go ahead and go to barbecuechamps.com and find Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke. We hope you learn a lot and enjoy these videos and have as much fun cooking these recipes as we had making them. Welcome to another edition of Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. My name is Luke Darnell, host of your podcast. We've had a couple of weeks off for the Thanksgiving holiday, plus it's the end of the barbecue season and the beginning of a new barbecue season, but I don't really start it until January. So, but we have probably a guest that's had the longest time coming to be on the show. We have Bill Heyen with Triple H BBQ. How are you?
I am doing quite well. How about yourself, sir?
I'm good, man. We've talked about doing this for a long time, and I'm sorry that it's taken so long.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah. So you've jumped in feet first already here in November.
Yeah, we've started out okay.
So I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. I'm anticipating maybe a pretty hard points run next year.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No, I did that once and I won't do it again. Well, never say never, but I won't do it like I did. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's something people ask me all the time too, because gosh, it was back in 15, 16, and 17. We were cooking 35 a year. And people were like, would you ever go back and do that again? I was like, I would love to do it one more time, but I would love it. I'd love to be so prepared for it that, work and money and none of that stuff is a problem. And I don't think that I'll ever get to that point where, I have enough resources on hand to, okay, I'm going to cook 40 times this year and it's all paid for and ready to go. It's
right.
just
Well,
life.
That's the thing. It's expensive, and the time consuming is probably the worst part. Because if you're the way I see it, if you're good enough to make a points run and a serious points run, you're probably winning enough to offset a lot of the cost. I mean, you'll never break even, but it's not horrible. But it's the time is, because how it is. It's you start on Monday,
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah, it's the time effort involved, the traveling effort involved, the driving. That's my biggest thing right now is the driving. The older I get, the less I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's part of it I don't mind, but I've been a truck driver forever, so it's one of those things that putting on a few miles doesn't bother me.
That's a good trait to have if you're a competitive barbecue cook. So you mentioned you're a truck driver. So how has your career and life experiences outside of barbecue prepared you to be a pitmaster on the competition trail?
Well, so I'm not a truck driver full time. I'm actually a farmer, but with that, I also haul all my own grain, and I have in the past done some driving for other guys hauling livestock and machinery and things, kind of on the side. So, as far as preparing me for competition barbecue, think what I think it has done is it's given me trying to think how to word it, knowing how to handle things on the fly. Like, you know, things change in the blink of an eye in agriculture. And we got to make snap decisions and, during planting season or harvest when weather changes on us and conditions, whatever change. So being able to make those decisions quick, and change things when things are coming off the smoker or not getting to the color you want or not getting to the tenderness you want, knowing how to make the adjustment to get it there.
Hmm.
I think just the ability to make those decisions quick and have confidence in your decisions is probably what I would say.
So, what do you farm?
Corn, soybeans.
Okay, soybeans. I spent a lot of time in my professional life on soybeans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and corn prices. I worked for frozen food, so
Oh okay. I got you. I got you.
yeah, the whole ethanol boom was a lot of fun in the
Yeah.
DC lobbying area.
I bet.
That's cool. I think you might be the first farmer we've ever had on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that creates a lot of synergies in terms of, your soybean and corn. I'm assuming some of that goes for feed.
Oh yeah. Feed, ethanol. Um, that's primarily where everything goes.
So
So
you're part of the food chain that feeds the proteins that we cook on the weekend.
you betcha. You betcha.
So you kind of bring it full circle. You start from the beginning of the feeding to the actual preparing of the food.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yep. Most of our corn probably goes to feed. I would say we ship to river terminals down on the Mississippi.
Okay.
So a lot of our soybeans and stuff go overseas. But the corn is pretty much local or more locally used. So
Hmm. That's incredible to go from to cover that whole scope. It's but it also has to give you a little bit of probably mindfulness about cooking food and cooking barbecue. Is that accurate?
oh, I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I mean,
I guess I went too deep on this, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think that deep about things. So yeah, we raise grain, and I've got good friends that raise cattle and hogs and so on. But then I know how to cook it. But it is the full circle, I guess, circle of life, as they say. But
yeah.
you know,
Well,
I haven't gone too deep on it.
you definitely know how to cook it. You've had some success over the past few years. American Royal winning championships every year. That's awesome. Where does having confidence at these kind of events, because you always seem to do really well in the big events, where does that confidence come from?
I think because when I go to a big event, I don't look at it any different than a small event. We're going there. We got the same judges. We get we're cooking the same proteins, turning the same categories. All that kind of stuff. It's just there's just a lot more people, and there's a little bit more of a roll the dice to it. Probably. But the the judges in general are no different than they are at the contest next week that only has 25 teams. So.
Hmm.
So I don't look at it any different. I don't get worked up about it. It's just another contest, and I think that helps, when you're not trying to go over the top when that's not what they're looking for.
Right. You strike me as someone who doesn't put any pressure on themselves in these bigger events. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think I go in most of the time with no expectations. I mean, I'll admit I get frustrated when we don't do well. If I sit on my hands and don't hear our name at all, I get a little aggravated. It depends. If I know I didn't turn in anything that shouldn't have got a call, then that's different. But I'm a competitor. I'm a pretty hardcore competitor, but I try to keep a pretty even keel and not get too wound up.
Yep. And that's a good way to be. I know a few people that love to get excited and love to get wound up, and I know some people that just can't move on it. But to have that level head, I think really helps in terms of doing well at contests because, as you mentioned earlier, the ability to react to things as they happen.
Right. Well, if you get too wound up over something that goes wrong, you can't react to fix it. You panic. It just to me, it's like driving. The best drivers are ones that don't panic even in a bad situation. They try to steer through it, and
Hmm.
so it's the same thing. You just got to navigate through it and roll with the punches, so to speak. And there's no reason to panic. It don't help.
Yeah. Let's talk about punches a little bit. We love to talk about everybody's successes, but I love to talk about failures. Do you have a favorite failure of yours at a contest that sets you up for success later?
Yeah, actually, I do. Now, this was early on. It may have been, and this was before KCBS for me. This was just doing the little local rib cooks where they give you the ribs in the morning and you cook them and turn them in for the afternoon. And it was our first year we'd ever done a contest, but I think it was our second or third. And I had no clue what I was doing. I really didn't. We were just having fun. And it was really cold, windy, and I had a pellet grill is what I was cooking on. And they were wanting us to cook extra ribs, so I filled her full, you know. Well, the airflow is not the same. And I just burnt the heck out of the bottoms of them. So then, in my infinite wisdom, I thought the best way to fix that was to wrap them up and pour sauce on the bottom of them and put them right back where they came from. Well, that was the big mistake because that sauce all turned to glue and stuck all the foil to the ribs, so you couldn't even unwrap them hardly. And I was ready to throw everything away, and I was so frustrated, and just thought I totally ruined them. And the guy next to us, seeing what was going on, he came over. He's like, "Hey, man, what's happening?" And told him what was going on. He's like, "Just don't worry about it." He said, "Find 6 bones, turn them in. You've having your worst day. If you beat somebody, even on your worst day, you're better than they are." I'm like, all right, well, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So we salvaged 6 ribs, 6 bones, turn them in. We end up middle of the pack, which to me blew my mind. But at the same time, even though we were really new, on our worst day, we were better than half that field. So that gave me the confidence to move forward and the mindset to never give up. And no matter how bad it looks, and believe me, that day it looked bad. To keep moving forward and try to get something to turn in, because you can never win if you don't turn something in. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
And
my fail story.
there's always time. There's always time to fix something.
Yep, absolutely.
And I truly that whenever I finally realized that, that really changed my cook a lot. And yeah, that's a great story, man. Wow. Turned them into glue. We've
Well,
all done
we
it.
did.
We've all done it.
Like I said, it was maybe our second time ever at a competition, and our third time, and I had no clue what I was doing. We were just having fun and hanging out. So there you go.
What? Let's switch gears a little bit to gear. What's one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've made in competition barbecue?
Uh, Probably, I'm going to say my Gateway drums. Um, we started out on an offset. I had a reverse flow that I'd actually built at home, um, which we've got a welding shop, whatever. So it was nice. It didn't look homemade, but um, so when we switched to drums, it really turned our game around. Just because I was able to focus on each meat individually versus trying to keep a temperature that worked for everything, and so I think that's probably my best investment.
And you're all gateways?
We're all gateways, yeah.
All gateways, yeah. That's an expensive one.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you didn't put
No,
a price
I
tag.
agree. But do you have a purchase of $100 or less that has most positively impacted your barbecue life?
Um, I mean, I got a couple really cheap things that have made things
Perfect.
so much simpler.
Dude, those are awesome, man.
And I think this has been mentioned on your show here before, but the butter cutter
Oh,
uh, saves
yeah.
so much time, you know, um, and you don't take a chance cutting your fingers, while you're trying to
Bill,
slice butter.
Bill, it is shocking how many people out there are anti butter cutter.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Like, and I'm calling him out by name, Dan from Top Gun. is so anti-butter cutter and cuts his butter at home and brings
Really?
it to the contest already cut.
Huh.
It's, I don't get it.
Well, to each their own, you know.
It's like being anti-internet.
Right? I agree.
I don't get it. All right, butter cutter. What else you got? I love that one.
Um, so the little tea steepers that we use for finish rubs, you know, they're I don't know, a
Tea
couple.
steepers.
Yeah, so they're mesh screens that look like a
Yeah.
little ball that you open up. You take those and you go in a Ziploc bag and you scoop up your finish rub and you can shake that on nice and even. And you know, they're a couple bucks on Amazon for a 3-pack.
Yeah.
And they work slick as can be. You can have 3 or 4 sitting there, so when one gets kind of plugged up, you grab the next one. You know,
Huh.
and
Do you wash them or you just keep a bunch of them on hand?
oh no, I wash them. I throw them in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So that there is a great investment that was cost me less than $100 because I know the Maytag man, like I got to use one, but I put a dishwasher in my trailer, and that is a fantastic thing.
You're not allowed to mention that kind of shit on here.
We can edit that out if you'd like, I guess.
No, it's fine. I know where that's going to come down the road for me. Yeah, we do need a dishwasher in the trailer. So do you have it do you have it so that it runs on the way home or?
No, I don't. Well, it probably could if I had the generator running on the trailer, but I don't. I don't generally run it going down the road, but like at a double or even, you know, after we get done prepping on a Friday night, I'll put everything in there that I would need for the next day that I've already used and run it. And then as we're going through our day, dirty dishes just get thrown in the dishwasher, and maybe not in an order to get them washed, but it's a place to throw dishes.
Yeah.
If nothing else, when I get home where I park the trailer here at the house, I can hook the power and water. So I'll hook it up, reorganize the dishwasher, start it, and dishes never come out of the trailer. So you never forget something that's sitting on the drying rack at home, you know. So,
And that's the one pitfall of the teams that take stuff home and wash it. You don't ever remember all of it.
no, there's something gets left, and I've done it. I've and that's why I love our dishwasher.
That's amazing. Get to know your Maytag, man. People listening. I'm going to see what I can do. Wow. The Maytag man. He has impacted your life in barbecue, but who's impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
Oh, there's so many people. It's hard to nail it down. I'm going to give Chris Schaefer a shout out. You know, me and Chris have been good friends. I've known him since we were really getting started, and you know, he's helped me a lot in learning and going on. And I think as we've improved, we've been able to return that favor in a few ways, you know, and help him through, you know, some troubles he's had in different categories along the way. And so, but he's probably the one that's been the one I call when I'm having trouble, you know, and especially first starting out. So
Yeah. Yeah, Schaefer's good people, man.
you betcha.
What when you hear the word successful in terms of competition barbecue, who's the first person that comes to mind?
I think the first person that comes to mind is Tim Shear, just because he's been able to do so many things outside of just cooking. I mean, you know, the drums and the blues hog and the Marble Ridge now, and you know, he's done a lot of things and been very successful at all of them. And so that's the first person that comes to mind.
Yeah, and that's a good. I was talking about him with somebody earlier today. They asked me the question: if you had somebody to win a category, you could pick one person, who would it be? And I was like, Tim.
And I think, you know, I'd have to sit down and think about who it would be. But the other thing I think about when I think about success is not necessarily winning all that much or, you know, monetizing with restaurants or whatever, but just being that go-to person and good person in barbecue that everybody loves. You know what I mean? and I'd have to sit down. I've got several that come to mind right off the bat, but to narrow that down to somebody that I'd have to pick out, but just that to me is true success.
Who are a couple of those?
Um, well, I think Jordan comes to mind right off the bat, but he's one of my best friends. But he's one of the nicest people you're going to meet, and do anything for you. Um, um, and I had to think about some others. There are many others out there.
Yeah,
but
Jordan's good people. This podcast is brought to you by the Kansas City Barbecue Store, the official provider of barbecue supplies to listeners of Pitmaster. And you don't want to miss out on this discount from the Kansas City Barbecue Store. From smokers and fuel to rubs and sauces, the Kansas City Barbecue Store has everything and anything you could possibly want. Make the Kansas City Barbecue Store your one-stop shop for all your outdoor cooking needs. As a listener of the OVS Pitmaster podcast, you can get 10% off of your order this spring by using the code PITPOD, PITPOD, all caps, for online orders at www.thekansascitybarbecuestore.com. This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com. What? You already answered that one. Whose counsel? That'd be Schaefer. Who now I'm going to call and figure out your recipes from.
Well, it doesn't have all of them. It
doesn't have all of them. What was your biggest turning point in your life as a pitmaster?
Ooh. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. Biggest turning point.
Could it be when you switched to drums?
No, I don't think so. I'm actually going to say that when we won the Royal, I think was a turning point for me. Because then, that was actually only our third GC that we'd ever had in KCBS. And our first one was that same year. So that was probably a point when I realized that, we can be successful against the best and there is.
Absolutely.
And so that changes your confidence level coming into any competition, So.
Wow, your third GC was the Royal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have quit.
Well, actually, it motivated me to go out and push harder because I didn't want to look like a fluke, because to me, it was kind of a fluke. Like, there's no way that's going to happen, But I feel like we also went out and kind of proved ourselves the next year.
Oh, absolutely.
That, and so that motivated me to go out and push hard and get better, and not look like a one-hit wonder. So.
No, and you certainly aren't. And that's a good story. To know that drove you. And you've done well at the Royal since then. And, yeah, I mean, you big contest cooker, man. I love it. It's those contests for me, the Royal, anything with a lot of teams, that's where I really like to cook. I think it's a lot of fun.
Good
measuring stick to see where you are, and yeah, there's a lot of things. But now we get to the good questions. We're really going to dive deep into the psyche of Triple H here. What habits and rituals and routines do you have for yourself during competitions?
So the biggest habit or thing that if we don't do it, it shows in our results is we stop, some point in the morning and bow our heads and have a prayer, and sometimes it's just me and Andrea. If the kids are there, they join us, sometimes, the neighbor will come over, whoever's cooking next to us, but we always have our time of prayer, and that's important to me. And I can tell you when we forget to do that, that's the contest we don't do very well.
Hmm.
And, so that would be my number one habit. I mean, there's other habits I have, I guess, but that would be number one.
You don't have any like dolls or anything that you got to have out?
No, no, I'm not superstitious. They like that. So, we do have some little. Oh, there's a chicken, two pigs, and a cow that we set up on the counter. Every time that they're little trinkets we'd gotten in the grab bags or whatever along the way somewhere.
Yeah.
So they get set up every time, but there's nothing like that we got to do. So.
Do you listen to music when you cook?
Oh yeah, we listen to music. We're everywhere from rap music all the way to country to bluegrass. I mean, and everything in between. So you never know what kind of music is going to come out of our trailer.
That's awesome. Spotify right now is doing a thing where they do your yearly wrap up, and it gives you all these statistics. And the first thing it said was you listened to 43 different genres of music this year. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
I didn't realize there was 43 genres.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Go if you have Spotify, go check that out. It gives you and you're like, I listen to that many podcasts. That's crazy. It's a fun little thing. No, that's cool. A lot of people. This question is about 50-50. Some people like music, some people don't, and I'm one of the people that I'm now starting to want to let other people enjoy my music, which is a bad habit to get into.
Well, ours usually isn't very loud. I mean, which the last year or so we've been doing the one-on-one classes, so the music's really turned down. We'll have it going still, but you got to be able to talk and whatever. Now, sometimes when it's just Andrew and I, we get it cranked up pretty loud where, we're in there dancing and everything else. So, but
that's cool. Do you have, is your competition week the same every week?
pretty close. Not always. Sometimes it just depends on my work schedule, but typically I like to get chicken on Monday and trim it Monday night, get that knocked out and out of the way. Of course, pork and ribs I'll usually trim either Tuesday or Wednesday whenever they get thawed out. I'll usually pull them out on either Sunday night or first thing Monday morning and throw them in a cooler and let them start thawing. And then brisket's already done. I trim those fresh or get them from 40 already trimmed. So,
cool.
So the big thing I trim is the chicken is what takes the time, and so and then making sure the trailer's ready to go on Thursday evening if we're leaving on Friday, or get it ready on Wednesday evening if we're going to leave on Thursday. But that's kind of my routine. So
what does 2024 look like for you barbecue wise?
Yet to be determined a lot. I mean, I'm going to guess we're going to cook somewhere in that 15 to 20 competitions like we did last year. And, really enjoy it. At 21, we were chasing the points and cooked 30, 35, 36, whatever it was. And, it was too much. It got to where I didn't enjoy going. Like I just didn't even want to go, And, so this year we stepped back and just went to contests that we enjoyed and things that were places we wanted to go. And, like went to Wisconsin to one that was at a place that had a water park for the kids, did stuff like that. And got back to really enjoying barbecue. I'm ready to go now because I really enjoy it again. But that's why I don't want to chase, is because I don't want to get burnt out, And so I don't know. Like I said, 15 to 20, somewhere in there probably.
That's a great comment. Haven't done that amount of contests before too. It becomes like a job. And yeah, you do get that dread and you're like, I really don't want to go do this again. And past couple of years for us have been the same kind of range between 14 and 22, I think. And I really like now whenever it's competition week, I get super excited. I'm just so excited to
Right.
go.
Yeah. Now it's, like we want to go and go places. And, when we were doing 35 and, trying to chase points, it was like, felt like you had to go because you had to try to defend where you were, or, pick up a few points. And, um, that you just didn't, I was dreading that drive to Kansas City or Arkansas or wherever it was we were going, so,
Yeah.
so
There's a good commentary on points chasing, everybody. For those of you that were thinking about doing it. Oh man, this has been good. Let's get into the rapid fire questions.
okay.
These are my favorites. What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
Probably just the general negativity. People that like to complain and bitch about stuff, but don't have any solutions. Um, you know, there's a right way and a wrong way to bitch about things being wrong, or things being needing to change. You got to be constructive and offer a solution. And there's so many people that just like to cry and whine about it, but never have any idea what to change, and half the time don't even really know what's going on. You
Right.
know, so especially in some of the recent events.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we do Mexican a lot, when it works out. But I like to have an ice cream bar after. There's usually some kind of ice cream in the trailer, and usually once brisket goes in, I like to sit down for a few minutes and have that ice cream cone or whatever's in
what
the freezer there for the kids.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, any and
Any.
all.
I got ice cream sandwiches this year at the Royal, and they were perfect
There you
to,
go.
to the point that I think that's going to be a thing this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'll make sure and stop by.
absolutely, man, absolutely. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
No, I'm not much of a gift giver. Um, I never have been, so I really don't have anything. As far as any specific thing that I give to a lot of people. I mean, it's usually more geared to whoever I'm giving to. But,
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, last one. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it getting a message out to millions of people, what would it say and why?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I've been thinking about this all day. And I
All
have come up,
day?
well, I mean, not all day, but I've been
I think
thinking
about
about it
this
today.
question constantly.
Um, but I do not have a great answer. Like, I want to come up with something motivational, and it would be something along those lines, but I don't have exactly what it would be yet.
Okay.
So,
Man, I really wanted to hear this answer. Now we're just going to have to do a part two. We're
well,
going
I
to have to
mean,
come back.
that's fine. We can do that.
And maybe we'll do a crowdsourced Q&A, but we're going to finish with this question. I
Uh,
thought you'd have a good one.
well, I tried, man. I
Mine
just could
changes
not.
all the time. Changes all the time. But it's again, I'm glad you took the time, and I'm glad you didn't find an answer, because that means that you really did care how you were going to answer.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you
I wasn't just going to put the random thing in there. So
if I didn't know anything else about you, knowing that would be enough to know that you're one of the better dudes out there. And I've always thought that. And yeah, man, thanks for taking the time. Where can people find you online?
so thanks for having me. And as far
Yeah.
as finding me online, we got a Triple H BBQ page on Facebook. I got my personal page on Facebook. Um, that's really all I do. I've got an Instagram. I don't use it. Um, I think I have a Twitter. Or used to. I don't use that either. But no, I
I'm
don't get into
sure
the online stuff too much.
I'm sure you've been asked this question 100 times, but where does the name Triple H come from?
So the name Triple H actually comes from when our very first competition. My father-in-law cooked with us, and so it was my wife, my father-in-law, and myself. So it was Hein, and Hill is his last name. So it was three H's, and that's where the Triple H came from.
I really wanted some convoluted story about how you knew the wrestler Triple H.
No, I'll tell you what. I did not know the wrestler Triple H existed until I started looking for logos after we'd signed up for a contest with that name. And I thought, I need a logo. So I just typed Triple H online looking for, I wanted a brand for a cow, kind of like what our logo is now, right?
Sure.
And so I typed in HHH brand or something like that, and all this wrestling stuff come up, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And so, but it is what it is. So
I'm going to come up with some weird backstory about how you guys are like distant cousins or something.
Nope.
Cool. Well, you guys, everybody listening, keep your eyes out there for Triple H and Bill, some of the best people out there in barbecue. And thanks a lot for being on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, buddy.
Yep. Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved.
Old Virginia, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia, Old Virginia smoke. Oh, yes. Old Virginia, Old Virginia smoke.